Good day and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Kervin Cyril Cusid and I am a student of Kapalong College of Agriculture, Sciences and Technology, otherwise known as KCAS. My YouTube channel is all about math tutorials in order for other people to learn more on how to solve math problems. Well, in this video, you will learn about how to find an angle in a right triangle. I assume that you all already know something about trigonometric functions since this video focuses more about inverse trigonometric functions. I will just introduce what are the 6 trigonometric functions are. These are the sine, cosine, tangent, together with their reciprocal, cosecant for sine, secant for cosine, and cotangent for tangent. There is a famous guideline for us to find the trigonometric ratios in a trigonometric function. This saw here is the formula in finding the trigonometric ratio of the sine function, where it means sine theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. For cosine, we have k, which means cosine theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. And for tangent, we have TOA, which means tangent theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. Let's move on the main topic. We have here the inverse trigonometric function. What we mean by inverse is that we're just literally reverses or do the opposite of finding the trigonometric ratios in order to find the angle of a right triangle. The inverse of the sine function is denoted as arcsine or inverse sine. For cosine, its inverse function is arccos or inverse cosine. And lastly, the inverse of a tangent function is an arctan or inverse tangent. Here's how it looks like when a trigonometric function becomes an inverse trigonometric function. We have the corresponding angle. This is the inverse sine, and this is the valid sine value. The same goes with inverse cosine and the inverse tangent. Now that we've finished our brief discussion about what is an inverse trigonometric function, we are going to try answering a sample problem. In this problem, we are asked to find what is angle A. To know what is the inverse trig function that we should use here, let's try to remember SOHCAHTOA. The ratio of a sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine has adjacent over hypotenuse, and for tangent, it has opposite over adjacent. We should always remember that the side where an angle is facing is the opposite side of an angle. In this problem, there is no value on the opposite side of the angle. Therefore, we can say that side AB is the adjacent and side AC is the hypotenuse. Since the given values are adjacent and hypotenuse, then we will use inverse cosine to solve this problem. The first step that we are going to do is to write the formula of the inverse cosine. Next, substitute the given values. Adjacent is 3 and hypotenuse is 5. After that, try to fetch a scientific calculator and input what you have written so far. The answer of this problem would be 53.13 and so on. To get rid of the decimals that we don't need, we need to round it off to the nearest hundreds. And there we have it. Therefore, angle A is equal to 53.13. Now let's try some harder problem. This time, it is a word problem. Let's try to read the problem first. Christine went to a skydiving lesson with her friends. The helicopter took off from the skydiving center and traveled a distance of 2.9 kilometers. And then she fell straight line perpendicular to the ground, which is 2.5 kilometers away from the skydiving center. What is the angle of elevation of the given situation? So, we are asked here to find the angle of elevation. The angle in the figure has no opposite measurement but only the adjacent and hypotenuse. Hence, we will use again the inverse cosine function. Again, write formula of the inverse cosine. Next, substitute the given values and then input it on a scientific calculator. After that, you will see the answer and just round it off, and the answer would be 30.45. So, the angle of elevation in this problem would be 30.45. That's all for this video. I hope you learned something about inverse trigonometric functions, and thank you for watching.